Well, here's my tool and parts organizational cart. I don't exactly know what to call it. It's mobile. It's got the 12 different cases in it with all bolts and screws. I have it all labeled so I can see, okay, here's washers and nuts. Let me show you how I built it, where I got the cases, how much I spent, the dimensions, and how I did everything. For many years I've had coffee cans full of nuts and bolts. I've had this for a long time, for at least 10 years since I was a little kid, but everything's been mixed up and it's been hard to find. So after watching a video on YouTube from Tested with Adam Savage, he showed off what he uses to organize everything, and it's cases a lot like this. They're compartmentalized, where you can take each compartment out. And so they're movable, so you're not stuck in one spot. You can take things, you can move them around, and when you lock them up, they're locked. Everything's locked in. They can't get mixed up. So I really like that idea. But his cases were made by a company called Sortimo, and they're really expensive. Each case is about 30 bucks, and he has a whole unit that was really expensive too. So I noticed that Harbor Freight had these cases, and they're originally $8, but you can always go online and print off a 20% off coupon for one item, and you can also get a free flashlight or tape measure or something. So luckily I have a Harbor Freight on the way home from work, and every day I would go in, and instead of $8 for one of these cases, which is still pretty good, I got $6.40, and I got a bunch of flashlights and tape measures and everything. So I bought 12 of them, and that cost about $80. And I'm going to make a case for it, just a vertical case. I thought about making a case that would fit under the workbench or different things like that, but I thought just a vertical case on wheels would be the best. I could move it around. So I have 1/2-inch OSB particle board in the back. I also bought 4-inch wheels that I'm going to use that lock in place, and just a couple of 1x2 pieces of pine. I'm going to cut everything on the table saw, glue and nail it together. It should go together pretty quick, and hopefully I won't have to spend hours looking for washers and bolts and everything. So let's get going. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that after I bought the cases, I bought 6 at first, then I bought 8 and 10, and I'm like, I better get 12. I spent about 3 days organizing everything out of those cases, and I dumped out coffee cans, and I separated everything. I have bolts and rivets, and the cool thing is, you know, if you have screws here, you can put that in another case. You can move them around however you want. You can do that, and they're all held in place. One last thing before I get started is that if you do buy these Harbor Freight cases, they come with a giant sticker on the front, which is really annoying. It's plastic and then paper, and it's a pain to get off. And I looked online, and luckily somebody mentioned you can use carburetor cleaner fluid, or that's what I used, was carburetor cleaner fluid, transmission fluid. Somebody said you try to peel off the plastic as much as you can, wipe on that transmission or carb cleaner fluid, let it soak in for a while, and then just use a razor knife or a putty knife or something, and it peels right up pretty well if you really soak it in. So if you do buy these cases and you can't get that darn sticker off, just wipe transmission fluid on it after you get the plastic off, and it comes right up. Here's the 2 sets of plans that I'm going to be using. I've drawn many sets like this to get, before I got started, to get the overall shape. Once I had it finalized, I drew it up on AutoCAD to get the exact measurements and all 12 cases, how high it would be compared to a person. It starts with measuring the case. Each of these cases, I think it's written on when you buy them, they're 2-inch high, 16 wide, 13 deep. I'm going to make the case 16.5, 13 deep. I want it flush with the front, and then for the 12 cases, I'm going to use a 1x2 or 1x3 spacer. So I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch, then the 3/4 of an inch for the board. That'll get you 42 1/4. Then with the board on top and bottom and the wheels, the total height for mine is going to be 46 1/4. And I can put these up on my blog, all the measurements and the dimensions. We'll see how it works. I might have to adjust it as I'm going, but I'll put up some of these plans, or if I redraw it in Google SketchUp if you want to download it. Alright, I have all the pieces cut out on the table saw. Here's the top and bottom, 17 and a half by 13. I have two sides, they're 41 and a quarter by 13, and then the back. I could have used a thin board like you do on cabinets. Those cabinets you buy, you just nail on that real thin board for rigidity. But I had enough, so I cut it out of the OSB as well. And I put the table saw away, and I got the miter saw stand out. And what I have to do next is, these are just 1x2s. I don't have enough of them right now, so I don't think I'm going to start cutting. But I just have to rip, for the 12 shelves I have to rip, there's going to be 22 slats, I believe. Because I won't need one on the bottom. So for 11 on each side, I'll need 22, 13 inches long. Well, yesterday I went and bought 5 of these 1x2s, and these are a little bit different. They're more rounded. The ones I already had were sharp angles, and I like these better, and they're only $1. I think I'm gonna get the table saw out and rip one of these sides off, so we're not gluing to the rounded edge, we're gluing to a flat, straight edge. Alright, I got the table saw out, and I have 22 of these cut out, 13 inches long, and what I'm going to do is just rip off the rounded edge that will glue to the side. So these are 1 3/16 long. Alright, I have everything cut out. Here's the piece. 22 of these 1x2s, and I have the one side on the table saw cut out. I'm going to start marking up the sides and gluing and nailing these pieces to them every 2 3/4 inch gap. I've decided the best way to attach the sliders is I'm going to glue the boards on. I'll clamp it in place temporarily, flip it over, and then put 18 gauge nails through the backside, and then I'll be able to just go down the line, glue, clamp, nail it on, and then move the clamps down. Alright, this is the first side done.
Okay, here's what the case looks like now. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but it fits just fine. Take the belt sander and get down some rough edges, and I'm gonna put the wheels on and paint it. Whatever paint I have laying around, I'm not gonna go buy paint, so whatever old paint I have laying around, that's what I'm gonna paint it. So that's it. I'll let the glue dry overnight. The cases were a little bit hard to slide in here. It was a tight tolerance, so I'm just knocking down this edge here, and I'm going to knock these edges down so the case, if it hits the rounded edge, it'll slide in a lot easier. Alright, so I'm done polyurethane everything, ready to put the wheels on, finish it up, and I actually get to use my cases because luckily this one I sorted through all the different size screws, and I just need a short one, maybe a 1/2 inch. Alright, that's the last one. Once again, the board, this is 1/2 inch OSB, a 4x8 sheet is $10 the inside. The slats are 1x2s. Those were $1 for an 8-footer. And these cases I got at Harbor Freight. So this whole thing was not cheap. It was, 80 bucks or whatever it is, but I hope they have it for a long time, and it's just really great. I have to label all these to know what they are. I just have the metric one right now, but I can take it out, get what I need, everything's organized, these come out, and hopefully I won't be searching around for bolts anymore. So far, I really like it. And if you need plans, like I said, these are based on this case, which is 13 by 16 by 2.5, I think. But if you need plans, I'll probably have a Google SketchUp file, or I think I drew it on AutoCAD also. And this is for a 12 case model, so there you go.